I think it's really important to do adequate training for your hosts and helpers. It is harder than a lot of people think to train someone to facilitate a small group versus lead a small group. And in Alpha, the hosts and the helpers are really just facilitating. They're asking questions that they get in their guidebook and then asking great follow-up questions. And it's important to train your hosts primarily how to do that well and cast a vision on why teaching or correcting people in the small groups actually goes against what we're trying to do in Alpha. We train 1 week before we launch. We do it at the exact same time in often the same location, so our hosts and helpers kind of get a feel for where we're going to be. We put everybody in groups and we simulate. After we teach and train and coach, we simulate Alpha small group conversations so that our hosts and helpers can get a trial run before we kick off. Another time we train is before the weekend or the day away. Just tossing hosts and helpers into that environment and asking them to pray during the ministry time can be very intimidating, especially for your host or helper who has never done that before. So we gather our hosts and helpers for a subsequent training session, again, usually about a week before the day or the weekend away, about an hour to an hour and a half, and train them on what that whole event is going to look like, and really primarily focus on what the prayer ministry time is going to look like, how we're going to set that up, what their role, what their responsibility is, and honestly, we train our hosts and helpers how to invite the Holy Spirit into that moment when they're praying with their guests. Not only is training your hosts and helpers on how to facilitate a conversation key, but also training them on how to handle the different dynamics or the different type of people that will show up in your group. What about that person that is completely silent, that doesn't want to say anything? How do you facilitate a person like that to the person that just wants to keep talking, who is the Christian that showed up and wants to pretty much preach and convert or change everyone's opinions around the table? How do you handle all those different type of folks is what we spend our time training hosts and helpers on, which I think is the key to success for groups maintaining, for people not leaving the group because they had a negative experience.